as we go along, and if you do have any questions, obviously fine, do type them into the box, the message box on the side, and then at the end, once we've finished the presentation, we can then go through your questions and answer them, hopefully. So thank you so much. Greg, I'm going to hand over to you, and away you go.
Thank you, Felicity. Hello everyone, I hope you're all well and safe. Thank you for attending this art presentation, this workshop. Thank you, Felicity and Shahina, for organizing and preparing this. I have here with me Emilia and Luis, actually not with me, social distancing as you understand, but there are two art tutors who together we're going to try firstly to introduce you to our creative arts department, and after that we will show you online how we teach through MS Team. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Greg Ioannou. I graduated from Athens School of Fine Art, my BA, and then I moved to London to do my master's degree in fine art from University of the Arts London. My background is in art and design, but I have experience in architecture and set design. I've been teaching A-levels for since 2004, and I'm a head of department for 12 years. I'm in MPW college now for my 5th year, basically. So, as you know, MPW college is closed, and we're currently teaching, we're not teaching face-to-face lessons. We do this via MS Team, like I do now with you. I wasn't sure, to be honest, in the beginning, if this would work for art subjects, practical subjects, but I can assure you now, after 4 weeks now we do this, that it has been a success actually, and we have positive feedback from parents and students. We do have sometimes, as you understand, difficulties with time zone sometimes, but from students from Kazakhstan, for example, or China, but because we have small groups, like 7, 8 maximum, we try to invite those students to attend different classes, different time, more suitable for them, basically. We try our best in this difficult time, basically. So, if you don't mind, I will just I will share my screen and I will start my small presentation. I hope you can see this now. Okay, Felicity, is that okay? Can you all see screen now? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So, creative arts workshop. Please try to keep your microphone muted until we finish. In the department, as you can see, we have we offer 5 different subjects. We offer 5 different subjects: art and design, textiles, photography, graphic design or graphic communication, and 3D design. The first one, I will start with the art and design. It's one of the most popular subjects, as you understand. We offer it for A-level and GCSE. We have 3 art tutors plus 2 3D specialists that helping us. And in general, they have, in the first year, the A-level students, they have 5 hours per week and 6 hours in the second year. They do 4 hours drawing and painting, and 2 hours they spend to do 3D pieces with a specialist. It's a practical work. We have sketchbooks, but we do have research as well. Students, they have to do some research. We have a lot of visits. We're quite privileged that we're in Queensgate and everything is around there. We have the V&A, we have searching gallery. So students benefit a lot from that. And of course, it's suitable for students who want to study fine art, architecture, or any other courses. This applies to all the other 4 subjects in the department, the hours, etc. This painting you can see here on the right is one of our students last 2 years ago, and you can see that they developed definitely the skills in drawing and painting. Having said that, not all students are painting and drawing, but some of them, they just try to create things more 3D, as you can see here on this art work. These are some sample. I chose these 3 is by one of our students that is studying architecture now in AA, and this is a sample of his work. Textiles. is another popular subject. We offer it for A-level and GCSE. We have 2 tutors, and again, it's really good because the more tutors we have, the more expertise for our students and the more guidance. A-level textiles in general is about experimenting with materials and textures in general. Expected students to use various equipment like sewing machine, printing, wax, resin, and fabric dyeing. Having said that, we do accept students without those skills and probably without background in textiles maybe, because all we need from these students is talent and passion for fashion basically and textiles in general. And usually these students succeed in the end. We do show them, we do spend the first term in the first year, and we do show them all these techniques, how they use them, and they do well. Of course, it's suitable for students who want to study in fashion and clothing industry, as well as mixed media, 3D spatial, interior design. The third subject in the department, we have the 3D design. This is in the old times, it was called ceramics, but now it's called 3D design because students are allowed and they're expected to use as many 3D materials as they could. We offer it for A-level and GCSE. We do have 2 3D specialists, and they experimented with silk, mono printmaking, 3D, clay, plaster, cardboard, and so many other materials. It's suitable for students who want to study fine art, architecture, or any other creative courses. As you know, a lot of students that they study architecture, they choose this subject plus art, plus another academic subject. In order to study architecture, by the way, you need 3 A-levels. 1 should be non-academic subject. So this is a popular subject for these students. These are 3 pieces from our students. The one on the left, this one here, is actually a winner. This student won the competition in Sachin Gallery, and this piece was displayed in Sachin Gallery last summer. And that was an honor for this student actually to present his work there. The fourth subject is graphic communication. Again, we offer it for A-level, and we have 2 tutors. Louise is with us, and she's one of the tutors teaching graphic communication. Students are expected to use various techniques such as Photoshop, typography, poster making, etc. Again, like I said, with textiles, we teach all these techniques to students in the first term. So we accept students without those, without a background in Photoshop. We do have workshops, extra workshops if they need help extra on that. And of course, it's suitable for students who want to study in general design and advertising in general. This is one of our students' poster. And of course, you can see that his idea and his aim was to talk about the environment and environmental issues. So photography is the 5th subject we're offering in the department. Really, really popular, I must say. A lot of students, they choose that. Some of them for the wrong reason. They think that, you know, just clicking a button and taking some selfies is photography A-level. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. It's an A-level, and it's more than that. Students are expected, as you can see here, to use various digital equipment, Photoshop, camera shoots, editing, developing, printing in a darkroom. Again, we teach all these things in the beginning of the course. We have 3 tutors, and the darkroom, as I would say, is quite a privilege. We're privileged that we have this. Not a lot of colleges in London, they have the facilities of darkroom. It's really, we have really positive feedback for examiners about that, about the darkroom. And in fact, universities now, they tend to ask and see work, photographs digitally, developed and printed in darkroom. Of course, now that, you know, we're all at home, students that cannot use a darkroom, but for health and safety, they have to be with teachers to use these chemicals, etc. So it's suitable for students who want to study various forms of photography, of course, working in publishing and media, reportage, fashion, etc. What I would like to say about photography, a few words, is that we encourage our students to not to just take some photos and printing them digitally. We encourage them to explore further different techniques. Like, for example, if you see on the left here, this is a photograph of a building in London. This student is studying architecture now, and the student decided to crop this photograph, this flat photograph. He cropped it and he turned it into a cylinder, and he created out of a flat photograph, of his own flat photograph, he created this beautiful 3D piece. Or like this one here, for example, on the bottom, the trees there. These are 3 photographs cut out trees and then put together as layers to create this perspective. Or this one here on the right top corner, they are 7, 8 photographs of a portrait of a student, a self-portrait, but instead of presenting them in a flat, kind of boring, old-fashioned way, as you can see here, the student decided to fold them like that. And I remember I chose this image because the examiner was really, really impressed with this presentation. A-level portfolio is a course, is a newly course that we offer in the college. And of course, as you all understand, portfolio is one of the most important things when it comes to applying to universities. It's usually a separate body of work created parallel to A-level subjects. Usually it's around 20 pages, 20, 30 pages. So we do help students, and these are some samples on the screen now of this portfolio. Live drawing. We have live drawing every Tuesday this year from 6 to 8, and it's a weekly session. And we have a model, and we set different tasks every week for students to develop their skills in drawing, because this is, as you understand, is really, really important for A-level. We have 2 tutors, Louise and Mark, helping with that. Of course, in this situation, we don't have a model, of course, because the school is closed, but we do continue, and I'm happy that we do continue these live drawing sessions every Tuesday, online, of course. And then the teachers are setting tasks, and sometimes I give them time to do that, and they come back and they all evaluate and critique their work. So we're still continuing that even now online. Some lectures and workshops I would like to show to you from visiting artists and universities. We do have a really, really strong relationship with the University of the Arts London, especially, and a few other universities and art colleges. In fact, they're coming twice or three times this year in our college. They do lectures and workshops, and they help our students with their portfolios, and they practice with interview as well. Mark Mawson is this poster on the left. It was a photographer that we had last year, and it's a famous British photographer, actually. If you don't know him, his work, this video art that he has with this liquid, it was actually projected in the Buckingham Palace during the Jubilee anniversary. So we had him talking about that to our students and inspire them. Now, again, this is in these times that we live at the moment, we can try, and we plan online sessions, of course, and online talks. And in fact, it works really, really well. It works like me now talking to you. So it's a good opportunity for us to organize and plan online talks and lectures. Annual art summer shows. Every year we do that. Usually it's the first week of June. It's an opportunity for students to display their work. These are posters with students' work from the past. It's really, really popular, as you can see here, really popular with parents, VIPs, and students. Of course, we can't, unfortunately, this year we cancel this show that we plan, but I promised to parents and students, because they were quite disappointed, I must say, I promised them that we will do an online virtual exhibition, like an online gallery, and we're going to put it we're going to upload it on the website, so for everyone to see our students' work this year. Before I finish, I would like to show off a little bit about the awards of our students. Since 2016, as you can see here, every year we win some prizes. For example, in 2016, Yilin Guo won the first prize in the Sachin Gallery competition. She got certificates, an iPad, and of course, she had the chance to display her work on the prestigious Sachin Gallery. In 2017, the same. Ben, this is his work here on the right corner. He got the chance to display his work in Sachin Gallery. In 2017, we entered students in the National Schools Art Competition. Henry Lloyd Horton won with his 3D artwork. Jillian Fang a second prize, and Laura Foreman won the first prize with her video art. And in fact, this piece was projected on the film festival in Shanghai. She had connections there. In 2018, again in the national art competitions, Scarlett got the first prize with this piece here, and Kat Ray first prize for her sketchbook, and Holly Ramsey with her textiles piece won the first prize. And the last one in 2019, Nikan won the first prize as part of his prize was 3D work, which is this one here, was displayed in the Sachin Gallery. As you understand, it's an honor for those students, and it's a big thing. I mean, it's a dream for any artist. I wish my work was displayed there, but obviously that probably will never happen. I don't know. So these students, they had the chance already, and of course, they added it on their CV, and it was amazing. The last slide. Just for your information, I would like to share with you the results comparison as an overall. As you can see here, for A-level, A star to B, from 2017, 57, we got it to 89. 89% of our students, they got A star to B. 99, almost all our students, they got A star to C. And of course, 38%, they got A star to A. In GCSE, even better, 0% A star to A, and we got it to 70. Last year, 90% of our students, almost all of them, they got A star to B. This is all I have to say. I hope you got an idea about our department. Thank you so much. Let me go back to my. I hope you can see me now. Can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you. Yeah. Amelia, would you like to continue with your section?
So, Amelia.
Hello.
Yes, Amelia, you can introduce yourself and you can start your demonstration, please.
Thank you very much, Greg. Can you see me, Greg? Is everyone able to see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Amelia, and I lead the textiles courses at MPW. We range from GCSE to A-level. We do a one-year program also. We've had great success over the last few years with even this year, actually, considering everything that's been going on, we've had 100% acceptances to universities such as St Martin's and Chelsea and LCF on BA courses. So we've been really lucky, and we've been able to work online, like Greg said, really successfully. So I'm hoping that today what I want to show you is just a few ways in which we do work online. I'm just going to share my screen now. So I just want to show you just a few little things of how we teach. Let me just click that back up here. Oh, what's happening? Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
yes, we can.
So what I tend to do with my students when they are, we're working in classes, obviously there is the lack of being in the same room together, but it is very, 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 it's very possible to work well creatively. So I normally do demonstrations and things like techniques. I've also created a huge Pinterest archive, which a lot of the other art subjects also have. So we're able to share research and design ideas. Also, to be able to relay ideas back to the student, we've just started to work on things like preview, where they send us images of their sketchbooks, and then I will simply write on top of them, if we're doing quick notes within the class, what I want them to do. So we will just literally do things like, annotations. You're able to write boxes, and then we can just send messages back and forth like that if we're doing quick reviews in the class. The other ways in which I've been able to give students good feedback is to spend a little bit more time when they're really stuck, where they send me their sketchbook pages that they're struggling with, and I will insert them into Photoshop. I've made sure that most of the students have Photoshop now, and we've been able to give them access to that through the school. And I will, with the student online, we'll share the screen and we will put together pages like this where we tell them exactly what to do. For example, sample and texture patterns, embroideries on calico, you know, good research references. We will then continue to kind of develop ideas where we tell them, you know, maybe it's a good idea to put patterns from the walls here, bring in ideas from this artist, talk about the artist space being there, a haven, and discuss this student in particular. This was her grandfather's house, and he was a well-known artist. So we were able to talk about the idea of her actually going and finding an abandoned brick wall and painting on the wall. We're then able to kind of quickly, using paint, do little ideas for very, very vague ideas for what kind of pattern or texture could go in somewhere, and then being able to develop that. And then she would obviously go away and do the real thing rather than having it just like this on the screen. But I'm able to then slip in and insert ideas for sampling techniques, and then we're able to sit and sew together, and I would show them the stitches or the technique in particular. So that's been a really, really successful way of being able to tell students or advise students on exactly what to do. And obviously, with regards to sharing screens, it's been extremely accessible. The next thing I just wanted to really quickly show you is actually being able to work in a digital way. So Textiles have many different techniques and ways in which we like the students to work. We don't want our MPW's Textiles students to make pretty little dresses with a big bow on that you can buy in Primark. We want them to be able to be conceptual and contemporary designers and artists, and we try to treat them as if they are ready for foundation or BA, because that ends up bridging the gap from A-level to the university courses. We like them to be able to be mature in the way they think. So obviously there are many different things that we are able to do with the students in textiles and other art subjects. One of which would be online at the moment, is that we have been creating, if you can see here, things like print design and fashion templates and illustrations. Also, we've been doing things like being able to put our final piece ideas into realistic templates. As you can see here, I'm just going to show you very basically a little illustration that we have then made into little print designs. So I will just show you our process of that. I am able to share my screen while they're working on Photoshop. And then we're able, I won't show you the whole process because it takes a while, and then we're able to actually create patterns and print designs, which are really exciting. We then have learnt also how to drop them into really nice little, oh, sorry, that wasn't expected. You know, trying to drop the prints into garments and things like that. So we're able to then visualize how it might look if we were to actually put them on a body, and it obviously depends on what kind of thing we're trying to achieve. So this student was looking at Memphis and Middle America. And then we're also doing things like fashion templates, where we actually take these garments and we are making our own. This student in particular, she made this background model out of cutting up lots of different images of dolls, which was really beautiful. And then we're able to design our own prints and later drop them in to the garments, which is really exciting for the students to be able to see. And it helps them very much to visualize their ideas. So that's been really exciting. The students have really, really enjoyed that. I'm just going to show you now a few little outcomes from these experiments that we've been doing online, which has been really nice. So obviously we've been doing the print design, which has been very exciting. Often we will, well, most of the time it will be generated from their own drawings and illustrations, and also even samples we've managed to make prints with. And then we're dropping them into garments and making little presentation pages, which has been really nice. And actually it's easier to teach this online, which has been a real surprise. You know, this is a student's actual physical samples that we've then cut out on Photoshop and put into prints and repeats. This is the page of her process, which is really nice in her sketchbook. And then she's got this gorgeous little fashion design that she's done by cutting up lots of different pieces of materials and then photoshopping them back in to make a garment, and then digitally putting her prints on top, which is just lovely. And you can see her beautiful little lineup of little designs here, which are just gorgeous. You can see how she's put them into her book as development, made little mask and headpiece designs. And then this is another student that was looking at this destruction in childhood, and she's actually created really strange, funny headpieces. But again, she's used this lovely, she's found this picture of this China doll, and she's kind of digitally put them all on top of each other, and then used some of her own samples and then put them together so she can see how it would look if she stitched them all and which one she would choose. These are really nice that I've been working on with AS, which is just some really quick ones where they've been using their little print designs and their little patterns that they've been drawing, and then we've just put them into garments. Here, this is something slightly different. We had a lot of students that unfortunately left their pieces in London when they had to move back, go back home. So we've been able to digitally final piece designs by putting it into the computer, and actually it's worked really, really well. You can see that we can visualize what her final piece would have looked like. That's what this is, a particular student that really loves working like this. And also I'm very, very happy for students to hand draw things and scan them in, and then we can view them like that. So not everything is digital. These are other presentation boards that we've done. And just one last little thing to show you is a sketchbook of a student that actually completed this whole thing from home during from the beginning of quarantine. And you can see that we've managed to work really well doing drawing techniques and sampling, very, very hand done. We've also been able to use photographs that she took before to then collage different samples onto them, do drawing techniques, and also been able to actually sit there and stitch together, which has been really nice. And then we've introduced the idea of print and surface design on Photoshop. So it's a really lovely mix of all the techniques, because I don't like things to be too digital all the time, and I think it's really important, but it's been a real success. And as you can see in this beautiful book here, she's been able to complete this whilst in quarantine. So that is to do little sculptures and beautiful little final pieces actually, which are quite bizarre but really lovely. So that is the end of what we have been doing here in Textiles. Just basically to show you all that the arts department have been able to really adapt to teaching this way, and we hope that we can continue to improve that. And that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And,
okay.
And then we have Louise Delahaye. Louise Delahaye is another member of staff in the department, and Louise is teaching art, graphic communication, and photography. So Louise,
hi. Yeah,
hi.
Hello, hi there. Yes, as Greg said, I teach across the department, and I'm just going to share the sort of first stages of a project that we do in the first year, where students explore drawing and painting techniques. So I'll just share my screen now. Can you see that now? Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, great. So we introduced them to the genre of vanitas painting in the 17th century. This is a painting by an artist called Peter Clays. So the reason for this is we have a look at how objects can be very symbolic of different things. So you see something like the violin, which represents science and music. You see the traces of, for instance, smoke in the background of an extinguished candle, which represents transition, transformation, and ephemeral things like the feather as well. So, and the broken walnut down here. So this is just to introduce students to the idea that objects can contain different meanings to them. They can be everyday objects. So their students won't be just drawing straight away from objects without any content behind them. So in contrast to that, but with the same theme, this is a contemporary version, which I think is more whimsical and playful. We've got beautiful composition, colours. The butterflies represent transformation again, and you can just see sort of areas of decay happening. So again, transformation in that way. So perhaps something sort of more imaginative for students to grasp onto. Contemporary photographer called Let Insky. I think this is important because it shows perhaps what some people would just dismiss as remnants, but actually there's an immense beauty and stillness in this. And this is sort of to help students, you know, get inspiration from literally anything they might find in their house, you know, just a piece of fruit, cutlery, whatever, but how beautifully this has been composed. So these are literally starting points for students for this project. And we might show them, for example, ways of collaging. And this might be a sort of quick example in class where they would have a look at transformation through one image. You can see through the drawing through sort of intense color here with a different backgrounds, so that they're not always just working on backgrounds the whole time. So we can see here a student has responded to that and made the page more sort of dynamic. Again, we would start, for example, here, this would be a quick kind of 15-minute, 20-minute task in class. And she would then send that to me via chat or email, and we'd talk about what perhaps she needed to do to improve it. Perhaps there would be more detail added. And then perhaps as a homework task, we would discuss this, and she would explore perhaps different ways of looking at it, maybe looking at different techniques, perhaps finding an object of her own that she could explore as well, and experimenting with charcoal here, for example, and ink here. All the time, students are expected to annotate their sketchbooks, and they do this very sort of thoroughly and carefully. They're not literally just commenting on what materials they're using. They're actually reflecting on why these materials are more successful, perhaps why one works better than the other, and why they're attempting, for example, in this, she was looking at what would it be like if I drained all the color out of this? Would this show more about the decay of the object here? And she's written very carefully about this. At the same time, experimenting with different backgrounds. And in a way, we're just trying to get them to be more sensitive to use of materials. And again, it's just very easy to actually do some demos online, or actually get them just to send us images so that I can feedback instantly. Photography is a big part of the art, and the photographs at the top you can see were homework. Again, they would do a photo shoot, send them to me by WeTransfer, and I can feed back and just say, I think, you know, these few photographs work well, but the last few don't. I think we'll explore perhaps a different way of using lighting, etc., etc. So from those photographs, they'll start to use those and not literally just copy the photographs, but try to get inspiration from them. At the same time as it making sure the whole page layout is interesting here. This was very simple printing technique that they can do on their own as well. This is just literally painting with the actual piece of fruit, the pomegranate. And I think very sensitively has shown how the stages of transformation and decay, perhaps through this, on a very beautiful sense of surface. This is actually exploring with the juice of pomegranate itself, which is quite imaginative. And again, the commentary is shows analysis and depth of thought. We have a few experiments here, again, of natural forms, again, by a different student. And this was started in class to do a sort of very kind of detailed, beautifully translated in different tones here. And then would be, because this was quite a, I remember this took, you know, probably 45 minutes to complete this, then this would be done with quick ways of using ink here. And we use a technique with brush show to get a more sort of fluent sense here, as well as experimenting with acetate, for example, at the same time, making sure detail and drawing is included. A little bit more confidence perhaps can be seen here, where she's using acrylic inks, and it has a sort of more density of color, and you can see the detail she's managed to get here. But really, you know, beautifully done with literally one line, you know, there's no rubbing out or anything. So that kind of confidence has been there. This is, again, a page which is a bit more experimental and textural, and showing the freedom. So we very much like to, you know, try and get that sort of contrast in the sketchbook. And then lastly, this is a response to another contemporary artist who actually hangs flowers in spaces and lets them transform and decay. And this was a student's response, initial response, which he did take further, but of looking at movement and decay. And I think she's successfully translated that in her photographs as an initial study. So that would just give them an introduction, and then after that they start their personal project. So having sort of explored the technical side, they've also looked at the concepts and meanings behind things. So they're in a position to start their personal projects. For instance, the theme might be time or transformation, one of those sorts of topics. So they feel confident at that stage that they can do that. So that is the end.
Great.
One. Okay.
And thank you, Louise. And
Okay.
this Louise's presentation brings us to the end of the session today. I would like to thank you all for your attendance today. And I guess now it's time for questions. So Felicity, Shahina, pass to you.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Visually very beautiful as well. Thank you. So I'm just seeing if we do have any questions. Obviously, due to the technical problem at the beginning of this, we don't have all of the attendees here, unfortunately. So I had a question, just while everybody else would like to type if they do have anything. In terms of your ideas and thoughts and concepts of how things might move forward digitally, do you think that there will be more of a draw towards this for future students? And do you think that this could be a new way of teaching? Or do you think that still working in person in the actual physical way is also as good?
I think, Felicity, this opens new directions, actually. And as I said in the beginning, I wasn't sure how we could do that. But as you say from Emilia and Luis, small task presentations, this is a possibility. We have students that they're external students. Maybe we can do this and we can focus further on that. So it is possible, yeah. And in fact, students now, they're really, really good in technology, better than us. So they do enjoy that. They do enjoy that, I must say.
Perfect. Okay, so Rebecca Gann had a question. When a student is applying for A-level art and design, is a portfolio required?
Yes, for what, art and design?
Yes.
Yes.
A-level.
A-level.
Oh, for A-level.
Yeah.
Usually we encourage students to send some work to us. To evaluate that. The reason we do this is not just to say whether they're good or not. It's not about that. It's about seeing the actual strengths there, and we advise them what subjects they will follow as an A-level. Because as you understand, we have 5 different subjects. So some students, they would like to do textiles because they want to do fashion, etc. But maybe their strength is more into like ceramics. So, and then we advise them to go in this direction, etc. And most of them, they listen and they enjoy this options when they register.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Yes,
I was just going to say that I think quite often students get a bit worried that they can't draw, but that's partly why it's quite useful for us to see whether what the sort of skills they do have. Having said that, we do really differentiate, and if drawing really isn't their sort of skill and they find it incredibly difficult to improve their skills, there are ways we work, in finding other methods. For instance, perhaps with constructing things, or I mean, a bit more digitally, or whatever it is. There are different ways, aren't there, Greg?
There really
Yes.
are.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And also students are able to, for example, a lot of students will come to Textiles thinking, oh, I want to be a fashion designer. And actually, they don't realise how much work goes into all of the art subjects. And actually, we are able to find them a course or a way of working that actually makes them able to access their particular set of creative skills. So that's something that we are, I think, quite good at as a team.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So a question from Kano: how are the students assessed in terms of creativity? Do they submit any design?
You mean in the end of the course, or in like weekly base and stuff?
Both.
Because we do set homeworks, weekly homeworks in all subjects, and we mark them weekly, like all the other subjects, of course, for specific tasks. But then towards the end, of course, we have summer tasks, and we mark those as well. And of course, when they enter for exams, we give our internal marks towards the end. But we assess them weekly.
Okay, he just clarified at the entry point.
Yes, as you understand, we enter them for exams, and then they produce the work, they submit it to us. We mark the work first internally, and then we send this mark to a moderator, to examiners, and they come back with their decisions.
Fabulous. Okay, and so how many art and design students do we actually have in London, do you know?
Last year we had 153. We're quite a large department, actually, and divided into 5 subjects, of course, 153. This year we have 147. Usually we have a lot of students.
Okay, great. And so Seyon has asked, and if a student wishes to take A-level in art and design, do they take all 3 art and design subjects, or combine subjects such as maths?
They could do that, but we strongly advise not to take 3 art subjects. I mean, as I said, that is my 5th year in MPW, and we had only one student in these 5 years that completed these 3 A-level subjects. It's really, really demanding because they're all coursework subjects, although some people, they think it's easy. A lot of them, they start with 3, but then they realize that it's difficult and they drop 1 and they continue with 2. But we strongly advise students to take maximum 2 plus 1 other subject. As I said before, for architecture, for example, you need to have 1 academic subject anyway. They will not accept you with 3 art subjects.
And then universities, for example, they like to see, if you're trying to apply to BA, having 2 art subjects is quite nice. It's not the be all and end all, but and for foundation, at least 1 art subject. Helps them to access the degrees or the foundation courses.
Some students in the beginning of the first year, they choose 3 art subjects maybe, but then because they're not sure which one they like more, like they can choose textiles, photography, and art, but then towards the second term, maybe they realize I want to focus in textiles because this is where I want to go, to fashion, etc. And then they drop photography. They could swap with another subject, but rarely we have students that they continue with 3 subjects, especially in the second year, which we have 3 coursework exam subjects. But it is possible. I mean, depending on the passion and the talent of those students, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fabulous. So there don't seem to be any further questions here. Is there anything you would like to clarify, guys, just to round up the end of this session?
Not really.
Is there?
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really very much appreciated. This will be available to download as well, so that those who weren't able to join today can view it at a later stage. But yes, thank you very much for those who did join, and thank you very much to the Art and Design Department. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.